You need to stop looking at the official numbers because they're lying to you. On paper, the Russian army is a behemoth, a terrifying force of over 1 million active personnel with millions more in reserve. But if you actually zoom in on the muddy trenches in Avdiivka or Zaporizhia, you see a completely different, shocking reality. The massive soldier problem isn't just that they are losing men, it's that the men they claim to have don't exist. We are seeing evidence of ghost battalions, units that exist entirely on spreadsheets in Moscow so that corrupt commanders can pocket the salaries of soldiers who are either dead, deserted, or were never recruited in the first place. The scary truth that is finally coming out is that the Russian front line is hollow. They are manning 10-kilometer stretches of the front with skeleton crews of malnourished, under-equipped conscripts who are terrified. The professional army, the Spetsnaz, the VDV paratroopers, was largely wiped out in the first year of the war. Now, Putin is trying to plug a dam that is bursting with water using duct tape. He is shuffling broken units from one hot spot to another to create the illusion of strength. But this shell game is about to fail because you can only fake strength for so long before the enemy punches through the paper tiger. But if the professional army is gone, who is actually holding the rifle? The answer is terrifying. Russia has transitioned from a professional fighting force to a shadow army composed of the desperate, the coerced, and the criminal. We have seen the recruitment standards drop from healthy young men to anyone with a pulse. They are emptying prisons of violent offenders. They are raiding migrant worker dormitories, and they are tricking foreign nationals from places like Cuba and Nepal into signing contracts they can't add. This isn't an army, it's our mob, and this creates a massive tactical nightmare. You cannot coordinate a complex military operation when half your squad doesn't speak Russian and the other half are convicts who hate the officers. Discipline has collapsed. Fratricide soldiers killing their own commanders is rising. The truth on your thumbnail is that this isn't a coherent military anymore. It is a collection of armed gangs trying to survive, but relying on criminals and mercenaries creates a ticking time bomb. These men have no loyalty to the flag, only to the paycheck. And what happens when the money runs out, or the orders become too suicidal? That is the question keeping the Kremlin awake at night. Imagine being handed a rusty rifle and told to run across an open field toward a Ukrainian machine gun position, knowing fully well you are not expected to survive. This is not a scene from World War I. This is the standard Russian operating procedure in 2025, known grimly as the meat assault. The strategy is brutal but simple. Send wave after wave of expendable infantry into the kill zone to force the Ukrainians to open fire. Once the Ukrainians reveal their positions by shooting the meat, the Russian artillery targets them. The soldiers in the first wave are not soldiers, they are human ammunition. They are trading blood for coordinates. This strategy explains the horrific casualty numbers, sometimes over 1,000 men lost in a single day for a few meters of ground. It is a cynical, industrial-scale waste of human life that treats Russian citizens like disposable drones. But while this tactic has allowed them to inch forward in some places, it has created a catastrophic long-term problem. You are burning through your workforce at a rate that is mathematically impossible to sustain. You can produce artillery shells in 3 shifts at a factory, but it takes 18 years to produce a soldier. Russia is currently spending its demographic future to buy a few villages, and the bill is about to come due. The massive problem gets worse when you realize they are effectively eating their own tail. To feed the meat grinder, Russia is now cannibalizing its own economy. They're pulling skilled workers out of factories, engineers out of power plants, and drivers out of logistics hubs and sending them to die in a trench. This is causing a labor famine back home. We are seeing reports of heating pipes bursting in Russian cities because there are no welders left to fix them. We are seeing bread shortages because there are no truck drivers. By prioritizing the meat assault strategy, Putin is destroying the civilian infrastructure that supports the war. It is a doom loop. The more men they send to the front to fix the military stalemate, the more the economy back home collapses, which hurts the military's ability to fight. They are throwing the furniture into the fireplace to keep the house warm, but eventually you run out of chairs. And when the domestic economy breaks, the supply lines to the front break with it. But the scariest shortage isn't welders or drivers. It's the sheer lack of young men left to draft. If you look at a population pyramid of Russia, you will see a gaping, terrifying hole where the 20 to 30-year-old men should be. This is the demographic echo of the 1990s, a time of chaos when nobody was having babies. Putin is trying to fight a massive 21st century war using the smallest generation of young men in Russian history. There simply aren't enough bodies. This is why the soldier problem is insolvable. You cannot print people. Every 25-year-old who dies in Donbas is a future father who will never have children, a worker who will never pay taxes, and an innovator who will never build anything. Russia is already suffering from a shrinking population, and this war is hitting the fast-forward button on their national extinction. They are scraping the bottom of the barrel, raising the conscription age to 30, then 40, and now potentially higher. They are drafting grandfathers and teenagers. This desperation is visible in the quality of the troops. Men with chronic illnesses, heart conditions, and bad backs are being declared fit for service. When you fill an army with sick, old men, you don't get a fighting force. You get a mobile hospital that breaks down under stress. This demographic collapse leads to a chilling realization: Russia is running out of time. They know they cannot fight a long war because they will literally run out of military-age males before their opponents do. This creates a dangerous sense of urgency in the Kremlin. They have to win now, or they lose forever. This is why we are seeing such reckless, suicidal attacks recently. It is the desperation of a gambler playing his last chips. But there is a breaking point. You can only hide the coffins for so long. In every village across Russia, the graveyards are expanding faster than the towns. The secret funerals are becoming public. Mothers are starting to organize. Wives are recording angry videos demanding their husbands back. This is the social front, and it is starting to crack. The Soviet Union didn't collapse because it ran out of tanks. It collapsed because the mothers of soldiers stopped believing in the war. Putin is terrified of this. He knows that the biggest threat to his rule isn't a NATO tank. It is an angry Russian grandmother who has lost her grandson for nothing, and that anger is building pressure like a boiler about to explode. History teaches us one undeniable lesson about Russia: their armies rarely lose to foreign invaders, they dissolve from within. The conditions we are seeing right now, mass casualties, incompetent officers, lack of supplies, and a sense of betrayal, are the exact same ingredients that led to the collapse of the Russian army in 1917. The morale of the average Russian soldier is currently in the gutter. We are intercepting calls where soldiers talk about shooting their own commanders to escape the meat grinder. Desertion rates are spiking to historic highs. Soldiers are fleeing into the woods, surrendering to drones, or simply refusing to attack. This is the massive soldier problem that no amount of propaganda can fix. An army that refuses to fight is worse than no army at all, because it becomes a dangerous, armed mob inside your own lines. The vertical of power relies on obedience. When a commander orders an assault and the battalion says no, the illusion of control shatters instantly. We are seeing cracks in the discipline that suggest a widespread mutiny is not just possible, it is aura. So, how does this end? The video title says it is about to get worse, and here is why. As the shortage of man becomes critical, Putin will be forced to make the one move he fears most: a total, general mobilization of the cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg. So far, he has protected the elites in the big cities, sending poor villagers to die instead. But the villages are empty. To keep the war going, he will have to drag the sons of the middle class out of their universities and coffee shops and send them into the mud. When the coffins start arriving in Moscow by the thousands, the political apathy will vanish. The war will no longer be something on TV. It will be in their living rooms. This is the trigger for the final collapse. By expanding the net to catch more soldiers, he risks catching a revolution. The soldier problem is essentially a noose around the regime's neck. If they stop the war, they lose. If they continue the war, they run out of men and trigger an uprising. There is no good exit. The ghost army is breaking, the demographic hole is widening, and the clock is ticking down to zero.